Let's do it.
All right, here we go.
You're a bad kid. You don't get restroom privileges.
You're starting.
Why am I starting?
Because you're starting.
No, start.
Okay, episode 5.
Yes.
We're going to do the whole clap thing. You guys ready?
You don't need to do the clap thing on this one.
I did it.
He clapped and then right after he started talking.
All right. Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 5 of the RLA Students Podcast. This week, we're joined by 3 amazing guests. We're joined by Jeff, Renee, and Kaylee. And returning to the podcast, we have Osman and Larry.
Oh, yes, sir. All right, to our new guests, tell us a little bit about yourself. How are you spending quarantine? How's life been with the whole corona thing? How's that going? Let us know.
I know Renee wants to go first. Go, Renee.
You know him so well.
Oh, well, thankfully things are going well.
Wow, he fell for it.
And just taking it day by day, having to deal with Jeff on a daily basis through our group chats and all, and obviously just taking it day by day, processing it all, trying to find that middle ground, trying to live balanced, trying not to go to any extremes. And so, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now, where things are at.
Awesome. Jeff?
All right. So me, I think I've been just going through it by creating a schedule for myself. Obviously, everyone's different. Like some people probably are getting through this whole quarantine stuff by not having a schedule and they're like thriving. But me, on the other hand, I work good when I have a schedule and things to do throughout the whole day. So I've just been working out, obviously working and just getting stuff done around the house that I've always had an excuse to not do, but now I have no excuse to not do it. So we've been like deep cleaning and all that stuff. So just having a schedule.
Oh, I love that. Jeff?
I think one of the things I've really enjoyed is getting to read stuff that I didn't have the chance to read before. So that's been good. Watching movies, I've been trying to keep a level of normality. So before the quarantine, people are honking. I think they're protesting outside. Yeah, I don't know if you guys hear it. No? But speaking of, but I one of the things that I've committed myself to is having a day off every week. So I've been doing that for a couple years now. And so I've been just trying to do that. And so have that same day off. And I think it helps me keep that level of normality, like be productive every other day of the week, but then have that one day where I just get to chill and just enjoy what's in front of me.
That's great. I'm glad you guys are doing good. Introduce the topic?
I want to introduce Larry and Osman.
They know who Larry and Osman
That's true,
are.
but they haven't met them like in a week. Like, what if they did something crazy this week? We never
Larry,
know.
did you shave your head again? Let us know.
I have not. Thanks for the reminder, though. Thank you for the reminder. Yo, I do want to quickly, like, for those that don't know our guests, which would be a little shocking, but you never know. We have Renee and Kaylee are the lead pastors of the RLA Church, which is our English church at RLA, and they are also associate pastors at our church. And Jeff is part of the RLA Church ministry as well. You lead the college ministry, right? Or
no. So what I do is I'm in charge of the discipleship of.
Oh, that's right.
Both, like classes and all that stuff for both English and Spanish.
Awesome. That's dope. All 3 of them great people, amazing people to follow, to look to, and yeah, I don't know Jeff so deeply as I do like with Renee and stuff, but I know Jeff is a great man, and he's a big hip hop head as well, so we share in that. Big LAFC fan as well, right? So sorry, Ozzy. Sorry, Ozzy.
32-52. Let's go.
Yeah, I forgot about Ozzy. Oh my god.
This changes everything.
It's all love. It's all
How
love.
unfortunate. How unfortunate.
What about you, Ozzy? What have you been up to this week?
What's cracking?
Nothing much. Just working on the connect groups. Covering for some people this week. I love covering people, leaders, because I get to connect with the students, which is the best chats ever. Middle school kids. Got to drop in your connect group, Andy, and at home, just trying to work out too. Working. I'm back at the office. I've been kind of back at the office. We haven't opened fully yet. We're creating a game plan to open up, but I think like all businesses, they're trying to get back to that normality. But I've been good. Thank God. And went to church today in the morning. Was part of the service. It's been a while. I got excited. My supervisor, Rosetta, left, hit me up and told me there's a spot open. I'm like, I'll take it. So I went, and it just feels amazing in there. It's been so long, and even though things are still again not up to normal, but just being in there and just usándome, it felt really good.
Damn,
Awesome,
that's
awesome.
great. And y'all are thriving.
I
Wow.
know.
Meanwhile, I'm over here like waking up at 3 p.m. like it's normal, or like
Going to
sleeping
sleep at 5
at
a.m.
5 a.m.
I
playing
don't do
Candy
that.
Crush. It's because Candy Crush is so addicting. So Sandy, would you like to
Yeah.
do the honor?
So last week we talked a little bit about, or like we shared how we are feeling about the situation going on in our country. But this week we want to focus on this main topic, which is how can the students talk to their parents about our current events. And I want to open up that topic by asking our guests a few questions, or I'm going to start with this one. How have you been processing what has been happening in our country in the past week, and what emotions come with that? If anyone could add on.
Anyone at all?
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll go.
I'll go.
Okay. Are you sure? Okay.
I will go.
All right, Jeff. No. I'll let Jeff go instead of you. No, but that's a loaded question. I think I'll try to answer it. But so the first part was, how have I been feeling and how have I been processing it, right? So I've been feeling, I think, to be honest, at first, it was like up here, it was like in the air. And then it's like, it was fitting inside my brain, like what happened to like George Floyd. And obviously it wasn't like a first time story that I've heard. And so for me, it was just like, did that really happen? Like, did I just really see that? So when I finally processed it, I think I felt a lot of anger. I felt a lot of pain. I felt very disappointed with our whole system, to be honest. So I felt a lot of anger, but not towards like anyone specific, but just the fact that we would allow something to happen like that today. Like, that's the part that really, really frustrated me. So to be honest, I did feel like a lot of pain for what happened to him, but also his family. And then what was the other question? How have
you been processing it, or what have you done to like wrap your head around what's going on?
Got it. Okay. And then how I think I've decided to remind myself to take a step back and not like be so consumed with going on Twitter, Instagram. I don't really have a Facebook, but like in this case, Facebook, and like going to every single social media platform, because it could get really, really toxic and really, really like dark. So I think I've chosen to like take a step back and not absorb everything every day, even though it is good to stay informed. But I think at the same time, you need to find that balance to just not go like crazy in your mind and not feel so heavy all the time. So that's what I've done.
Dang, that's great. That's great. I think it's really easy to get overwhelmed especially with all the different sources of information you can get. It's really easy to get overwhelmed.
And you mentioned like, how you feel angry. I could relate to that 100%.
It should be all of us.
That's how I've been feeling the last couple of weeks, last week.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I think I feel like I've been feeling a little bit of everything, anger, sadness, disappointment. I would even say like there are moments where you look at things and it feels almost kind of hopeless, like this has been going on for centuries, for decades, for a long time, and it's just crazy to see, and even asking questions like why until now, why are we only reacting now, and so I've been feeling a little bit of everything. I think that that I've been I've had the I'm gonna say it. I've had the privilege in a way, to to start reflect. I've been reflecting on this for the last couple months, couple years. My starting point to reflect, my starting point in reflecting on this kind of violence, on this kind of racism, was maybe a couple of years ago when the current president started attacking immigrants. And I think for me that was the entryway into trying to figure out why, like why do they talk about my people that way? Why do they talk about minorities that way? And for me, I just kept digging into that question. And so then going back into history, like why, where did this come from? And so when I see it, I honestly don't watch videos like that. I haven't watched videos like, I don't watch videos of people getting killed. It just, it disturbs me. But so I try to stay away from that. And even just watching 5 seconds, the first 5 seconds of that video is disturbing. Like just 5 seconds of it is disturbing. And so at first I didn't want to watch it, just because it's bad. But then I saw just the anger, the sadness that was coming out, and I'm like, I have to watch it. I have to see what's going on. And it's sad. It's sad. And at the same time, I've just been asking myself, where is God in all this? And so I think I've been just trying to figure that out. Where's God in all this? What can we do? What can we do better? And things like having conversations with family, especially that everyone's still in quarantine. Those conversations are coming up constantly. And so it's been a little bit of everything, a whirlwind, like a tornado, a little bit of everything.
Yeah, for me, honestly, I think the main emotion that I've been feeling is sadness. To me, anger is not an emotion that I could easily tap into. That's kind of like really far for me, and Kaylee knows that, and so anger is like really far from me, and so I think the emotion I feel mainly is sadness, brokenhearted, and so that's kind of the main emotion that I've been feeling, and the way I've been processing it is that a lot of people that know me would say that I grew up very privileged. I grew up very privileged, and I think people that are in a privileged place, people that white people or people that are in a privileged place, I think our posture during these times needs to be one of listening, and so to me, I've been processing this through listening to stories from Black friends that I have. I've been people that have been my acquaintances, now they're becoming like close friends, and I've been calling them, I've been having combos with them in the car, asking them how they've been feeling, how they've been going through all this. And so that's kind of how I've been processing it. A lot of sadness, a lot of Kaylee has taught me how to be empathetic, you know, and so trying to empathize and trying to connect with people's emotions and go the extra mile about outside of our brown walls, you know, of connections, like kind of going towards beyond those easily at hand connections of Latinos and listening to our Black brothers and sisters, you know, and going that extra mile. And so yeah, and that's kind of how I've been processing it, you know, kind of sad, brokenhearted, and trying to do my best to listen. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So Jeff made a really important point where he said that we're in quarantine. So most likely than not, we're together with our families, our students are with their families. And especially in times like this, I feel like the Hispanic community, the Latino community has a lot to say or wants to say a lot. So I want to ask you guys about a time that maybe you've gotten into an argument with your parents or a disagreement, or you've shared different opinions and how that played out and what you did about it.
Yeah, it could be anything.
Yeah.
Maybe if it turned out you guys didn't talk for a couple of weeks or a couple of days, or it was resolved in the moment, just anything that you guys ever disagree with.
Yeah, I think the biggest question I've heard even from coworkers who are younger, like 18, 17, 19, is that parents and students are trying to, and just younger people are trying to make sense of the looting and the protesting in regards to racism. And and one of the things I've heard with my family has been the same thing. Like, don't, why are they doing that? Why are they destroying those things? Why are they tearing down businesses, right? And it's a difficult conversation because, you know, some of our people were those business owners, you know, some of those businesses were immigrant owned, not all of them, but that looting and destroying of property, it's going to have a consequence when it comes to people's money and economics and things like that. But and so for me, that was a point of disagreement, and I try to understand, like Renee was saying, try to listen and try to understand why it is that they feel that way. Like, why do you think that why are you paying more attention to the looting than to the underlying cause? And try to have a dialogue, and not just rush to judgment, not rush to condemnation and telling them, oh, well, you're just a racist, that's why, you know. That doesn't solve anything, I think, for me. And the way what I've been trying to emphasize is, in those conversations, is what the question I've been trying to emphasize is, what is the value of life? What is the value of life? How much is a life worth? And so then I force people to answer this question. Not force, but I pose it, and I try not to let them get away from it. Because what people
sometimes kind of forced.
No, when you ask people tough questions,
sometimes it's needed.
When you ask people tough questions, what they're gonna do is try to avoid it. And they're going to be like, oh, well, that's an unfair question. That's not okay. Why are you even asking me that? And so that's the question I've been asking. How much is a life worth? And is it worth more than the property that's been destroyed? And then I try to put myself in a situation. Is my life worth more than those buildings that have been destroyed? And is your life worth more than those buildings that have been destroyed?
That's so good. That's good.
And so that's been kind of like listen. Okay, but let's talk about the worth of life. And yeah, so that's been kind of my way into talking about this whole situation with family, especially those that don't understand.
Yeah, I've been, I got a theory I want to share with you guys, and I want to see what you guys think.
It's a theory. Get ready, Larry.
But the way
You
I've
got 2
been,
minutes. 2 minutes.
well, it all begins with, no, I'm playing. But I really do think that our first generation Latinos, I think the reason why they have a hard time understanding Black Lives Matter, understanding the struggle of African Americans, is I strongly believe it's the language barrier. And the reason why I say that is because when you share the same language, you could share experiences, life stories, struggles, your story, your family story, the story of your race, of your background. But because there's no language to be able to share that with, our first generation Latinos, they don't see that, they don't feel that, you know. And so I think the language barrier is a big one. You know, I really do think if some of my family members would speak the same language as Black people, they will be able to share their struggles, their upbringing. They'll be able to share, you know. But unfortunately, many times our first generation, they get negative experiences, and then they summarize the entire Black race by that one experience. And so I really do think that what I've been seeing with my family is just that lack of language. Why do millennials, why do Generation Z, why do they love Black people? Because we speak the same language they do. We hear their stories, we know their name, we know their family, we listen to their backgrounds. And so that's something that I've been noticing, is that language barrier is a big factor in this, you know. And so that's kind of what I've been noticing, you know, and just kind of sharing these stories. And like Haley was saying, like, social media could be pretty toxic real quick. It could get toxic really quick. And even like a lot of our first generation, like, that's their main source of media, you know. And one video goes viral, you know, and all of a sudden everyone thinks that Black people are X way, you know. And it's like, but if you get to know Black people and if you talk to them, you listen to their stories, 99% are amazing people. They're wonderful people, you know. So that's something that I've been noticing.
Yeah, I wanted to add something to that, because I'm gonna be honest with you, and I kind of don't see that. I can't fully understand that theory. I feel like it's more than that. I feel like there could be a level of, and this may be a little controversial, but I feel like it's a level of individualism, like, within our community, our Latino community, where it's like, you know, I need to make sure that I'm safe, that I'm good, and that my family's good, and that's it. You know, I had a conversation yesterday with my parents, with my father specifically, where I was sharing with them, you know, some of the things that I've been doing, the conversations I've been having, and the moves that I'm trying to make, and where I feel I stand in this. And his immediate response to that was, be careful. And he said, you know, like, I think we're good the way we are. Like, estamos bien como estamos. Like, why are we gonna kind of mess that up, type of thing? Where, you know, and he's talking about safety wise, you know, because I was mentioning that I was considering going to a protest, which I do plan on going, you know, for health reasons, I haven't gone. But I was mentioning that, and when he said that, it kind of triggered something in me, and I was like, no, like that's definitely not the mentality I have. That's not the mentality that Jesus had. Jesus laid down his life, and called us to have that level of love. You would lay down your life for another person. Paul, was so passionate about spreading the gospel. He was incarcerated for it. Like, so we see people throughout history, people in scripture, doing risky moves for the sake of the people, for the sake of the gospel. And I think the fight for justice and fight for equality and fight against racism is the fight for the gospel. So I think that I feel like that has a lot to do with where we're at as far as the Latino community. And it's something that I get it, because our parents have risked so much to get to this country and be where they're at, and to see that all that is at risk, by us going out there and joining in these dangerous, things, however they may see it. So I just wanted to throw that out there as a little side.
Yeah, Larry, Kaylee, do you want to share anything? I'll go after you. I'll go after you.
Yeah, I do. All of you talk too much. Just kidding. No, just kidding. But no, I wanted to make it a little bit more practical, a little bit, and that's that. I think there could be so many different reasons why perhaps our parents think the way they think. If they disagree, if they're like, I've heard. I mean, I don't know if I'll get in trouble for saying this. I've heard different things like that Black people should stop being the victim, or they should like stop destroying things, and just like really mean things out there, right? And I think the reason is, and I'm going to use the example of like, the saying that says that a lot of people use, is that all Christians are hypocrites, right? Because one of them is like, immediately everyone labels us as being like two faces. And I think unfortunately a lot of our parents haven't had perhaps a good experience with one Black person, so they immediately like label all of them the same, sadly. And because of language barrier or fear like stopping them from interacting with them, I think they've unfortunately they have labeled them, and there is some racism in our communities today, with all due respect to any parents listening to this, but it's real, and that's racism. And I think racism is a sin. Like, mom, dad, like racism is a sin. Like Jesus came for Black people too, and I think it's time to start calling out the racist tendency inside all of us. I think even me and all of us here, like we all have racist tendencies, even among the Hispanic culture. Like, we're all racist, sadly, towards each other. And so I don't know if my sisters are gonna kill me for saying this, but I know like I don't live with my parents anymore, obviously, but they shared with me talks that they had with my parents. And then I also had a few youth reach out to me throughout the week, like, what kind of conversations can I have with my parents? They don't see why people are rioting. They don't get it. They're just like slamming the protesting and the rioting and stuff like that. And so one thing that my sisters shared with me is that they saw that the reason why my parents completely disagreed with what the Black community is doing right now and speaking up and using their voices is because of one bad experience. And so I think it's important to like walk our parents through that, like not expect our parents to meet us where we're at, because perhaps a lot of us have had Black friends, a lot of us have had Black teachers, a lot of us have had that cool Black neighbor that cracks you up whenever you pass by because they say something hilarious and they have a beautiful voice. But I think our parents haven't had that opportunity. And so one thing that my sister saw with my parents is that because of one bad experience, they immediately were like, oh no, they're like up to no good and they're just writing just because. And so our parents are not that educated with Black history and all the oppression they've gone through throughout the years. And something that I love and admire about the Black community is that they speak up when something is not fair, when something is not right. They speak up and they talk about it and they make it known. And that's something that the Latino community, we're like, I love us, but at the same time I lose patience with us, because for us, we're like, for example, Larry, what your dad was saying, like we're content with a little bit, like as long as we're safe, as long as we have food on the table. And I think that's beautiful and amazing, and that shows like a grateful heart. But at the same time, like that's why we don't always get the best. That's why we don't get like for treatment. That's why like I don't want to get political, so I'll stop there. But like that, but that's why like we're handed the scraps. So that's something that I love about our Black community, because they speak up when there isn't fair treatment, and they've been oppressed for so many years. And I think we've also been oppressed, the brown community. And the thing is that with us, we don't talk about it. We don't go out and protest, which is why I admire our Black brothers and sisters, because I'm like, yes, you go out there, and I want to go out there with you too, because when they speak, I feel like if they're speaking for all of us. And it's just sad with our parents, because of one bad experience or maybe two bad experiences, immediately they like cross everyone out. So I love our parents, but I think that's something that we can start talking with them about and walking with them through that pain and that trauma perhaps, and helping them heal during these times, and seeing like, reminding them that's God's kid too. Like that kid that was on the street and that couldn't breathe, that man that had like someone had their knee on his neck, mom, dad, that's God's kid right there. That's not right. And so that's all I'm gonna say.
I think, and
Okay.
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I want to highlight two things. One thing that Larry said, I think, kind of this whole self-preservation thing. I feel like the misunderstanding on older generations, especially in the Latina community, is both religious and cultural. So religious in that it's I feel like we have I think you highlighted it, Larry. We have a fundamental misunderstanding of what it means to follow Jesus. And our Christianity, our faith is contained to the four walls in the church, and healings and us falling on the floor because the Holy Spirit has touched us. When Jesus moved beyond the building, and our tradition, our Pentecostal tradition, doesn't highlight that. It does highlight it, but only to go preach the gospel, only to go convert people.
It's limited to salvation.
Exactly. The cross is only about salvation. It's not about the injustice that Jesus faced and how Jesus overcomes that injustice, how Jesus overcomes that violence. And so I think the first one is there's a misunderstanding of what it means to follow Jesus. And so that's one. And the other one that Kaylee kind of pointed at, I feel like kind of like settling. I believe that especially so I grew up, I'm Guatemalan and Mexican, but I grew up with my Mexican family. And what I've seen is that my Mexican family, my Mexican family, there's this like ingrained pessimism. It's like ingrained in us. For example, you'll hear bad news, and the first thing you'll hear is "Pues así lo quiso Dios," right? And it's like, no, like that's not how God wanted it. Oh, God allowed that to happen for a reason. What? No, and so there's a lot of theological nuances there, but there's this ingrained pessimism in us. And when you look at protests, for example, in Mexico, protests never get anything done. The government is so corrupt that they don't listen to their people. And so then you'll hear things like, I don't know why they're doing that, no va a cambiar nada, right? no va a cambiar nada. Let's just keep things the way they are because nothing's gonna change. And again, I don't blame them. It's something that's been ingrained in them, and then it tries to get passed on to us. But then, you know, you have a completely understanding, a new understanding of what it means to follow Jesus. And so, it's I think it's those two things. It's religious and cultural.
Can I add to what Kaylee was saying? What Jeff was saying is so good. What Jeff was saying about not judging our parents, you know, not judging them, but understanding them, you know, and being like, you know what, there's a reason why they think like that. There's a reason why they feel like that, you know, and that's valid. You know, I think it's important for us to validate that, you know, and then that's the first half. The other half is have the convo where it's like, well, there's this other side too, mom, dad, you know, and can I be real with you? Here's a hot take. I think a lot of our parents have been influenced too much by white Christians. And I think their way of viewing the world, the way of viewing the church, the way of viewing people, it's a white Christian point of view, you know, and I don't think that's a full way of viewing life, you know. And so I really do think that, like, we need to view life the way Jesus viewed it, you know. Jesus, according to historians, was more dark skinned. He wasn't white. He was a brown dude, you know what I mean? Like, and so
the sun a lot, he should have been in the sun a lot.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't in Europe. He was in the Middle East, you know. He was brown looking. And so I just think that a lot of times
he looked like Larry.
He looked probably like Larry or Ozzy.
That melanin shining through.
Yeah, or Jeff.
On la barba, like dude.
You know, and so I really do think there's that factor in there, you know, and it's a lot of like, el americano dice así, you know, es que así dice el americano. And it's like, well, you know what? They've actually hurt thousands of people for hundreds of years, you know? And it's like, what if we rethink that, you know? And then to Larry's point, I think our view of salvation is so limited, you know? Like, to me, and in scripture, salvation isn't just this one person being like on a jetpack to heaven. Like, no, salvation is also social salvation, you know. It's about rescuing the city, rescuing the, you know. So I just think we're just too narrow-minded, and I think that comes a lot from white Christians, that according to studies, like, they don't even represent the majority of Christians. So sorry.
I love everything you guys said. Just if I could say something right
Go ahead.
what Kelly was saying about the Hispanic community, I think also our parents, or I get the sense of, like, we don't have it as bad as the Black community. Like Kelly said, content, safe, and it limits us as a whole community, limits us. And I think it's a combination of what Renee said about the language barrier, what Larry said, everyone kind of, I think, put it all together, why our parents react the way they're reacting right now. And it's really good that we're, you know, like, starting the conversation at home. Because if we want change, it's going to be, like, at home first. Or we have to be the change first. So I love everybody.
Yo, one statement just real quick with what Ozzy just said. The reason why we don't have it as bad is because of the fight that the African American community has had throughout history, right? The reason we can vote, the reason why we can enter any place, you know, freely, is because of the fights that the African community has fought. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Sorry, Heidi, go for it. Go ahead. No, I really do think that I'm gonna be real to all the students. For you to change your parents' mind, man, that I'm kind of cynical usually about things. The odds are really slim. Just to tell you, I'm sorry, student. But the odds are really slim. But what I do think you could do is listen to them.
Imagine they exit out of this. They're like, then why am I listening?
Yeah. Why am I here then?
take little jabs. Take little jabs. But I think if I could give them suggestions, I'd say introduce to them real life Black stories. Introduce to them stories of Black people, of a Black mom that is successful and then experiences discrimination. I think stories are going to be a big way on showing our parents. Yeah. I don't know if that makes sense.
Something really funny, kind of, I guess, like I was hearing my family complain about the property destruction. I was like, you want to talk about doing illegal stuff? I was like, you came in here illegally. So don't start.
Yo!
We were just laughing. But it just goes on to show that
you are illegal.
Yo, can I just say, students, don't do this.
No,
don't try this at home.
Don't tell that to your mom and dad.
Don't try this at home.
No, after that,
they will take you out if you tell them that.
After that, I didn't wake up till like not related because I got knocked out. But
the chancla will fly out immediately.
You're in danger, Jeff. Think twice. I think Kaylee brought a really, really important point of complacency, of being complacent where we are, being okay with what we have. But reality of the fact is that's selfish. To me, it's really selfish. I've had several conversations with my dad and my mom, and then I think one thing that always comes up is like, you don't know anything. Like you're young, you're a kid, and then so it's like I try to come with them with respect, and I try to come with them, all calm. Because if you know me, like I pop off easily. So I try my best to remain calm, but then they see it as like being disrespectful. Like, ¿por qué me estás contestando? Or why are you undermining me? Or then it gets really heated, and then I start screaming, and they're like, ¿por qué estás gritando? That's not gonna get you anywhere. Yeah. And that's kind of like the I think, not just me, I speak for many people I've talked to, I think that's how some parents see it, where they think they're the authority, they're like up here, and then we're like down here, and we don't know anything. But the reality of the thing is that we're the ones, like, firsthand. We see it going on in our communities, and our parents sadly didn't grow up with that. They grew up in their countries with their struggles, and it's hard trying to get someone to see your point of view when they have a different lens. So question I have is, how can our students go to their parents and have these type of disagreements and approach the situation all while, one, getting their point across and trying to educate their parents, and two, reinforcing and respecting the relationship that they have built and that we want to uphold. So
if I could share something, I know I haven't shared anything at all this whole time, but just kidding. I would really say introduce to them, Netflix. Our parents love Netflix, like introduce to them Netflix. There's a really good movie. My mom calls it El Flixtex. And so I recommend you watch with your family the movie called The Help. It is really, really good. In case you guys haven't watched it, it is really, really good. The movie The Help. And so I would say watch that. Watch movies. The 13th documentary is really, really good. They should have it in Spanish. And so I would say use the media. And three, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's gonna be tough, but as simple as this may sound, honestly, even though your parents might not get fully how you feel, as simple as it sounds, but I find it so powerful. I think that's where you could say, but Jesus understands me. You get me? But God understands me. God gets me. He gets he gets that the minorities, that people that are disenfranchised, they're valuable, they're worthy, you know. And so I think that's kind of where we could run to God, and then also find moments where you have that dialogue, you know. And I would strongly suggest all students, do not judge your parents, do not judge them. Respect them and honor them. Don't judge them. Try to understand them, but try to, little by little, you know, give them resources or talk to them about things. But they're gonna pull that card all the time. Tú no sabes. You don't know. You haven't lived life, and you're just gonna have to be patient. You know, that's some of the things I would share.
Do you want to go, Jeff?
Go ahead.
Wow, are you mad? So what I would say, Heidi, is I used to be what you just described with your parents. That was me at home, like getting into fights with them. And I'm not saying go get into fights with them and keep getting into fights, but like my dad is like right there, and I'm sure he's hearing me. But that was me. Like I'll get into fights, he'll be like, yeah, I don't want to give examples actually. I don't want to give people ideas. But the point is that I know this is like a cliche verse, in this verse, like you can see it on people's t-shirts and on Instagram and Pinterest, but it is really
I thought you were gonna
true.
say you see it on people's teeth.
Maybe, I don't know, in people's cars, but it's the verse that says, do not let anyone look down on you because you are young. And it's true. Like, I think, but with that verse, I mean, that verse means so much, but like what that verse really means is like the moment someone tells you like you don't know anything, you're just young. Yeah, obviously I think we're all young here and we all have a lot to learn and to grow and to growing with them. But I think, like, don't allow them to belittle you. Don't allow them to make you second guess yourself and your wisdom and your strength. Like, yeah, you see me as young, but you know what? I know I have a voice, and I know I have insight into this subject, and I know I have experiences, and I know I've learned a lot, and I know that God that lives inside me, you know, I have something to give too, even though I'm young. So I think it's important to always keep that in our minds and in our hearts, especially when people keep telling us, oh, you're just young. Oh, you're just a kid, you know, which annoys me whenever people tell me that. But that's another subject. What I would say is, if you're really, if this is like a hot topic in your home and this is something you're passionate about, and it's not just something that you're going to make it a trend to talk about just because everyone's talking about it and posting about it during this time, I would say get ready to have various conversations. Get ready for part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. Probably part 1 is going to be so chill, but probably part 3 is going to be like, oh my gosh, we're on a huge fight. And then part 5 is like, oh my gosh, I think they finally are starting to get in. The part 6, everything, like it's like if you're starting all over again with them. So I think it's important to recognize one conversation is not gonna, like, they're not gonna get it. They're not. And I think second, like, realizing and recognizing only God can change them. And you know, you can plant the seed, just plant it, have those conversations and pray like, God, please, you know, like this is an area that my mom and my dad need to recognize and even like realize that maybe they're being a little bit biased because of their experience. Then pray about that too. And then what else would I say? And also meet your parents wherever they're at. Don't expect them to meet you like, well, in the 1900s, the black like, no, like break it down for them. Meet your parents wherever they're at and start there. So don't rush it. Don't get frustrated. You're not going to change them tonight. You're not going to change them tomorrow. But it's important to have several conversations. And that's something that honestly, me and my sisters, we've had several, even like 2 years ago, we had a conversation with them about this. And so it's been an ongoing conversation. My parents are finally turning a corner about this topic, but it's taken years for them to like do that. So be patient, be persistent, pray, and meet them where they're at and not where you're at.
Kaylee, you got stuck on the screen.
Perfect pose.
Yeah. One of the things I kind of want to build on what Kaylee said about meeting your parents where they're at. One of the things about the people at our church is that son bien bíblicos. You know, they like to say, "Where's that in the Bible? ¿Dónde está eso en la Biblia?" Right? Like, or they'll tell you, "Ponte a leer la Biblia," right? And that's a good starting point. I think like, okay, look, this is the way I think, okay? I try to be very strategic, and so like this is God's word. Like this is God's word right here. And if God's word says you got to love everybody, tell me, what are you going to do with that verse? Like what are you going to do with it? I need to know. Let's discuss it together. Like what are we going to do about it, you know? And kind of bringing that to the discussion, I think it would be very good. And putting those, because the thing again, like at church, we're starting to do it now, but in the last years, we don't talk about social justice. The only social justice we talk about is about getting people papers. That's it. And so we only talk about it when it concerns us. But the Bible talks about caring for the oppressed, caring for the orphan, caring for the widow, caring for the marginalized. And so then we have to start just bringing in those topics. Like, what do you think about that? What do we do with that text? Who is the marginalized? You know, who are the marginalized in the gospel? Who are the marginalized now? Who are the people that were oppressed in the gospels? Who are the people that are oppressed now? And yeah, using those questions and using the Bible in a way to create dialogue, I think, because then you have to figure out together, like, what are we going to do about this text? We can't just ignore it.
That's good.
If I could add to what Jeff is saying, that's so true, Jeff. That's such a good point, man. You're so amazing. No, I really do think there's certain key scriptures that would be good to share with your parents.
Yeah.
You know, like from the first page of the Bible, that all male and female were created in God's image. Like, boom. That is like literally one of the most important scriptures in the whole Bible, you know? And so that's like the +4 wild card in Uno. Like that's the one that wins it all, you know? Real quick, 2 things. I would also suggest all the students find an awesome, like a Black family that is just like you just could find a connection with. There's Mia. Find a family and work as a translator, you know, find a way where you could connect that family and you guys could share and you guys could talk, you know. I think that would be great. Be a bridge between you and a Black family, you know, be a bridge between you and a Black single mom, a Black single dad. I think that would be a great idea, you know. I think you guys could definitely do that. And that will, again, to me, it's all about stories. It's all about stories. And then the second thing I would tell students is scripture says that knowledge puffs up, but love builds. And so you could have all the knowledge, like Kayla was saying about Black History Month. You could have all the knowledge that you see on Twitter, all the knowledge on documentaries. But if you share it to them, like just straight up, you're going to destroy them. You're going to destroy your relationship with them. And so I think it's important that you show them love. You show them that you care. Because your parents, it's like they say, people don't care what you know until they know how much you care. And so please, like students, please show your parents that you care for them. Show them that you love them. And then little by little, show them the documentary information, the data, the 400 years of slavery. You know what I mean? I said slavery. And so I really do think it's important that love must open the door.
Yeah, I wanted to mention something too. I think definitely what everybody says. I second everything that they said. I definitely think educating yourself is super key on this topic, because if you're just speaking out of anger, like Renee was saying, you're not gonna get anywhere. I think speeches and preaching, like the shouting and all that, inspires, right? It motivates you, encourages you. But in a conversation, it ain't good. It don't help. you know. So I think if you're already feeling some type of way, going into a conversation with your parents, you know, take a step back, like Haley said, take a step back and process your thoughts, process what they're saying, and what Jeff said, I am the same way. Be strategic about it. Be strategic with your approach to it. You know, sometimes I've learned that when you're having a conversation with somebody and you want them to see your point, you don't need to just tell them the point straight up. Like Renee said, you could literally ask certain questions strategically that will make them answer the question for themselves and figure it out, you know. And by educating yourself, I also mean, I don't just mean on the history of this country and all of that. I mean with scripture too, especially if you're in a Christian home. You know, there's so much scripture that talks about social justice, that talks about just justice overall, and I believe that will definitely be in your favor when you are having these conversations. But always out of respect and honor to your parents. Remember that, you know, you're seeking something good out of this. You want them to join you in standing against the injustice. But when you start taking a disrespectful approach to it, and a dishonorable approach, you've missed you've missed it. You're already going a different way from the way you were trying to go in the first place. So I just wanted to say that educate yourself, and also be very smart in your approach on these conversations. I highly recommend, especially for those of you that are, like, you know, in high school, read How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's going to be a game changer for you when it comes to having conversations and dialogue with people. So I just want to say that.
I just want to share a line from Dr. King. He once had this line where he's talking about white people, and he says the goal is not to destroy white people, the goal is to win them. You know, and the goal is not to destroy. He literally says the goal is not to destroy a white man. The goal is to win the white man. You know, and so I think, as weird as it might be, you know, the goal is not to destroy your parents. You know what I mean? The goal is to win them. And so you could easily have an information sword fight with them, you know, but that really isn't going to go, like Larry said, far. I think the goal is to do it within relationship, within friendship. And again, information, data is one thing, you know. Data has to be in the environment of friendship. So yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, these are it's going to be a tough conversation to have with your parents, and I think just having that mindset going in, trying to, like, not knowing that this is a process, like Haley said, it's going to be part 1, part 2, and probably until part 50, but knowing that you are going into it in a respectful manner is what's going to cause them to listen. If you go into and say, you know what, let's have a conversation, like, quiero hablar contigo, they're going to be like, okay, let's talk. And then if they start telling you, like, if you know that at that point they're not listening anymore, part 1 is over. Wait a little while, wait for part 2. And that's super key. That's super key, and being persistent, knowing, like, Jeff, Kaylee, Renee, Osmond, Larry, we all shared how our parents grew up differently. They already have a mindset that they've been developing and have established for years now. And you're going in and you're saying information, or you're going to give them testimonies that may challenge those mindsets. So just know that if they tell you, or if they are like, you know what, this is wrong, it's just them, like, they're listening. That's a good thing. But then step away so that your emotions don't get involved, because that's when you lose the disrespect with your parents.
Yikes, dang. Osmond, do you have anything to share?
Yeah, this is so at home. I'll share a little personal at home about keeping your feelings on check. That's very dangerous with your parents, because you have to honor them. You have to respect them first off. And I know these conversations,
even
these
when it's
topics,
hard.
Yeah. No, at home, it gets tense. It gets tense at home, and one might say, right, the student might say, well, if anything, it makes my side of the story more impactful, more, but the reality is, and I see these videos of John Gray, of TD Yates, like, they're the calmest presence in the room, and they're the most impactful. So you don't need emotion, feelings.
That's so good, Ozzy.
To back up your argument, your side. If anything, it makes it more impactful that you're so calm about it and so educated and just so ready for it. So, like Renee gave us some tips, some Bible verses to use. I would add and I just shared this also with Andy and the guys, the Good Samaritan story, how the first one, the priest looks away, the Levite looks away, but God calls us to not look away, to not look at them and keep walking, to do something about it. And
Ozzy, that's like the story right there.
Yeah. And the guy, bleeding, that just got robbed, and I feel like it's like the Black community that's bleeding, and how are we gonna just look at it and ignore it and turn away? So there's lots of material, like Larry said, in the Bible. If they want to get biblical, you shouldn't be, you shouldn't feel intimidated by it at all. But yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents. And at home, these conversations are happening, and I love my sisters. And the mentality. They be getting into it, but I feel we've changed my mom's mindset a little bit. And like Renee said, it's not an easy thing. It's like it's a big, like, kind of victory to open her eyes and just for her to just take in consideration another perspective. And then I think that's a big thing.
And I just wanna for all of us here real quick. Like, you have resources here, like people, like not just information, not just books, not just like videos or movies. You have people here who are informed and have done the work or doing the work, and are willing to like walk with you and yeah, like, you have resources here in people, and so I just wanted to throw that out there.
That's good.
If I could just, sorry, Heidi, go.
No, you're getting into an argument with your parents. You're just like, te voy a echar Renesito. What? I feel like right there, my parents would be like, okay.
No, something I do want to share, kind of my last, like, 2 cents would be, I think it's important that, we understand, and a historian wrote this, and he said, racism does not go away. Racism does not go away. It just mutates. And I just found that so interesting, that racism, it doesn't go away. We don't eradicate racism. It just mutates, and he actually says it a little more extreme. He says racism will never go away. It just morphs and adapts. And so I really do think that's why it's so important for us to keep fighting, to keep pushing. Like, this fight is going to be part of our lives forever, for the rest of our lives, and so I just want to share that with you guys.
All right, guys. Any final words to the students? Final thoughts? Anyone to share real quick?
I just want to say props to all the students that are willing to have these conversations, because you could go about your day and your parents say something ignorant and you're just like, okay, whatever, But shout out to you guys for calling out their anti-Blackness and their microaggressions that they say here and there that maybe they've learned along the way. Shout out to you guys for wanting to start the conversation, because change starts with us. We know better, and we're not going to let our parents, go around saying these ignorant things knowing that we
Come on, Addie.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Dang, Heidi, you fire, Heidi.
Heidi,
Así
say
me
more.
gusta.
Say more, Heidi. Go ahead.
That's it?
I don't want
It's your final thoughts we want to hear.
No, but for real, shout out to you guys. I know it's not easy. I've
Mhm.
had these conversations before. I've tried to have these conversations before. Sometimes I failed. Sometimes I have Andy to back me up here and there. But it's hard, you know?
Andy, what happened?
Here and there, Andy. Come on, Andy.
It's her
because
fight.
he gets too heated
I
sometimes.
do.
I'm just like, Andy,
yeah.
do not say anything.
I
I'm
get too
gonna have.
emotional.
We like plan it before. I'm like, we're gonna have this conversation, okay?
Andy, that response is the problem.
Exactly.
It's her fight.
Uh,
It's her
Hey.
fight. That's the problem, Andy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andy, don't be a bystander. Jesus. So I know it's hard, especially I think our church is very Central American. It's like Central American majority. And I know how Central Americans get. I have a Salvadorian mom, so I know how it gets. So, and it's hard because want it or not, you're your parents' kid. You know, some of your traits you get from them, you guys are gonna butt heads here and there. If you don't talk for a week, it's okay. Let it be.
You know what I'm noticing too, guys? I'm noticing some fear in our parents that we're not thinking like they think. You know, we're having our own mind. We're having our own mentality. And they're kind of afraid that they can't control that part of us. You know, that they're like, wait, but I never thought like that. Wait, what? And it's like, well, like I have my own thoughts, you know? And so I think there's also that part where we're starting to show them that we don't think exactly the same.
That's fire. And
yeah,
I think
go ahead.
I think just this next generation, no, it feels like they have their own mind, and not only that, they ain't afraid to share it, to like speak out about it. Like
Period.
Just something that came to my mind, like I feel like the fight is different. I think our parents' fight was more not getting caught, making sure that they care for their family, making sure that they find work, which is hard to find work without documentation.
Undercover, huh?
And I think it's underground, like you're basically living underground. And with us, it's more like we're going into institutions, educational institutions. We're going into different areas of society that they didn't have access to. And so you start infiltrating those areas and you experience a different form of racism, different form of discrimination. And so it's different. You approach it differently. And it's the same fight, just different. You're getting attacked with different weapons, you know? Kind of what I want to say is we're all in this together.
No, and to add to what Jeff is saying, there's actually a study that came out that in the year 2020 and on, there was going to be more Hispanic and Blacks in higher education than white people. Like that whole dynamic is going to switch. So what a lot of universities are starting to do, they're like flyers, brochures, they're like bus, you know, like advertisement. They're starting to put more Blacks and Hispanics on there because they know that that's their target audience now. So like we're like going up there. We're like moving on up. And it's
right
gonna
there,
be
guys.
new to our parents. And so get ready, guys. We're getting educated. It's gonna be new for our parents. We're gonna think different than them. We're gonna see the world different than them. And it's gonna be scary for them. But I think what's important is that we fear God and that we show it with our lifestyle and that we assure them like God, like mom, dad, don't worry, like God, his spirit lives inside me. Like you have nothing to worry about. Don't sweat it. And show it with our lifestyle and show it with the way we speak to them and show it with the way that we carry ourselves. So I think that's going to be key.
Yeah.
You brought up a point. And that's so true. I feel like the more educated we become, the more threatened they feel just because they know they haven't had that education. They know they haven't had the same experience as us. And then the fact that they want to keep us under their wing. They want us to be like them so much. Like they've raised us a certain way. And then as soon as we try to rebuttal their thoughts or refute them, that's when they feel the most threatened. You know, no shame to any parents watching this. Kids, don't judge your parents. But you got to get to the
disclaimers.
Yeah, because that's true, Heidi. And like Jeff was saying, though, or I think it was Jeff or Renee, we can't attack them either. We can't, like, we're in the same team. So I feel like they are gonna probably feel when they're educated, level is more than their like less, and I think us like respecting them in the same level and giving them a chance is kind of like we'll shock them, and that's when you really like can do damage, kind of thing, or can like like you got their attention.
Just what like what Kaylee was saying, what Heidi was saying. So there's this guy in the early 1900s. He's like super genius. The first Harvard black graduate, a PhD graduate. His name was W.E.B. Du Bois. And something he said that the South, like the South racist Confederate people, they would say the South would say that an educated minority is a dangerous minority, and so even the white racist people thought that, and so all the students, like, let's get educated, let's keep growing.
We're dangerous, guys. We're dangerous.
That's right, we're dangerous, and so let's keep pushing, guys. And shout out to the student ministry. You guys are killing it, man. You guys keep
are doing amazing.
It. Yes, keep doing it, guys. Keep pushing. And I know Ozzy, he probably got shy, he left, but not playing. But you guys, student ministry,
he went to the protest, he told me.
Student department, keep pushing, guys. Keep building, keep encouraging, keep it up, guys. We're really
you guys
proud
are doing
of you guys.
Amazing. You guys are blowing it up. You guys are killing it.
Shout out to everyone in the student ministry. Thank you, guys. To close it off, I just want to share a quick verse with you guys, which is Micah 6:8. Kind of has been the core of our church, of what we're trying to do. And it says, "He has shown you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God." Period. That's it. So, thank you guys so much
for joining us. With the prayer?
Yeah.
All right. So join me in prayer. Dad, we come to you today. Thank you, first of all. Thank you for everything that you're doing, that you are gonna do with our lives. And we pray for you to use us. Help us be the person that you are. Help us be more like you. Help us with the patience, because Lord knows we need it. Help us, give us the strength, give us the knowledge. And I've heard this said several times, let our heart break for the things that break your heart. Fill our hearts with the fire, and give us overall, just bless us with your protection, with your peace. And we pray that soon justice will be served, like you said, and in your name we are praying, we say amen. All right. Thanks so much for
Bye, guys.
joining. We really appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.